Hello people! Today we're doing a set I'm calling Pink Power, and there's all the junk I used to make them. Okay, we're doing these on extra long coffins, starting off with some Beetles pink, and we're just going to make some irregular areas on here. Don't need to be neat about it, just get it on there. This is going to be one of these sets where you have to trust the process, because there's going to be times where they're going to look like crap. I had noticed recently that bright pink seems to be trending everywhere, not just on nails, but clothing and whatever else, everything else too. So I decided to jump on that wagon and make a set of pink nails. And I wanted to do an encapsulation, so that's how we got to what we're going to do. Now I'm going to skip over the ring finger for the moment, because originally I had planned to do that entire nail as encapsulated stuff. But then I changed my mind when I got, okay, that's the first coat, and there we are. Those are going to get cured. And now we're back for the second coat. I had changed my mind during this process here with the ring fingernail being fully encapsulated with the stuff. So when we get to it, I'm going to be putting a glitter polish on that one as the accent. This is what I would call a Barbie pink. Like I missed part of the side edge on that one in the first go round. Well, I thought we'd do a second coat. Take care of those problems. Excuse me. Okay, this is the glitter polish. I'm going to do the exact same thing I just did with those other ones, except I'm using this glitter polish instead. I will be going in with the second coat of this. Okay, and those are ready to cure. And they're going to go in. Now they're cured, I'm back to the second coat on the glitter polish nail. And I will throw that in there to cure whilst I get started on the next part. We're going to be using some of these dried flowers, some of these little tiny ones. Some Mylar. Now that lighter pink, well, we'll talk about that in a bit. Some Seashell pieces. Some pink iridescent glitter. Okay, these, I'm going to cut this all apart because I want all those little flowers to be separate. So I'm just going to cut them off this middle bit. Now I was trying to keep things nice and neat in the little containers, but it ended up with these things all over my desk anyway. So much for trying to be neat. This would be 10 times easier if I didn't have gloves on. Okay, as you can see, I've cut them off. Some of them are in there where they belong. Some are on my desk. Okay, we're going to start off with a layer of base coat. Now you want to cover the entire nail. If you just put it on the clear part, you're going to end up with that clear part raised up way higher than the rest of it, and then it's going to have a big ridge across there. Which, if you're going for that, that's fine, but usually we're not. Okay, I'm going to start off. This is the accent finger, so I'm going to start off with 2 of these pink flowers. And I'm just going to get those kind of where I want them. And then I'm just going to start picking up other stuff. Okay, we're going to go in with some of those little flowers. Some of the iridescent glitter. I'm just going to be picking up stuff from all these different things. I'm putting them in here. A little bit of, okay, now this stuff right here, it was sold as Mylar, but it really is not, which I found out the hard way. I breathed on it. That piece is Mylar right there. I breathed on it, and all of a sudden it just went poof, and everything went flying out. So it really is more like a chameleon flake than a Mylar. So you have to be careful with those. I have that light pink one, although right now looking at it, it looks kind of gold. I have that light pink, and I also have a light blue like that, which I have not used yet. At one point, I had to stop and cut up some of the actual Mylar pieces to smaller bits because they were too big. And now I've got some of the seashell pieces I'm throwing in there. We're just going to put a little bit of everything in there. I kind of pulled out a lot of my pink stuff for this set. I wasn't totally sure what I was going to do. So a lot of this is kind of on the fly. And once I get enough stuff on there that I'm happy with, I am going to get my LED flashlight, and I'm going to lay that on where those big flowers are, because I want those to lay perfectly flat, and they weren't exactly. So once I get myself together, I'm just going to gently press that into the light. We're just going to hold that for, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds maybe, just so that will cure enough to flatten those out. And there they are, as you can see. Well, now I got a hair. As you can see, or not. Okay, I don't know what happened there. They were flattened out all the way. And now we're going to go in. This is the thumbnail. We're going to do basically the same thing. I have one more of those bigger pink flowers left that I'm going to put on here. And then the rest will just be filled in with the other stuff. This time I decided to go in with some of the glitter first. Okay, maybe this isn't the thumbnail since I haven't put the big flower in there yet. There's some of the little ones. Oh, there it is. That one's a little bit mashed up. And then I tried to pick out some of the bigger of the little tiny flowers to put on. And then we will continue to load the rest of this negative space up with whatever else I'm grabbing. Those are the seashell pieces. I kind of went crazy with those. And a little bit of Mylar in there. For Pete's sake. Excuse me. I've just been having so many asthma issues lately. It doesn't help that I've been off my asthma meds for over a year now, because I can't afford to get it. Anyway, that is not you guys' problem. We're just going to keep filling this in until I've packed that negative space pretty solid with all this other junk. And then we're going to use the little LED flashlight again just to flatten out that flower, because this one, being that it's mangled, is definitely not laying flat. And I'm just cleaning some of the stuff out of my brush. It's kind of gotten gunked up. Trying to get these things back into the area they're supposed to be in. Okay, I think we're ready to cure that. Now this one I had a bit of an issue with. When I put this on, I didn't hold it as still as I thought I had, and it squished over to the side, so some of the stuff is off of there where it's not supposed to be, as you can see up there now on that top part. That one I was able to scoop off and stick back on, but these right here I had to scrape off because they're cured on now. I think those were seashell bits there. Don't worry that this looks kind of messy and not great right now. This is where you have to trust the process for these. Okay, we're good on that one, I think. Don't worry about any of that messy looking stuff on that top part. That'll get dealt with as we go along. And I wanted to add just a skosh more of the base coat in there because I couldn't get that one guy to stick down. Here we are. Okay, moving on. Now the rest of these I've sped up. We're just going to do the same thing. The only difference is none of these are going to have those big flowers. They're just going to have some of the tiny ones and then the rest of the other stuff. Sorry, I'm not feeling all that chatty today, guys. Some of you might be liking that better. It's like, God, would she just shut up for a while? Sometimes I do tend to ramble on. And that one big piece of Mylar, I don't know. I don't remember if I left that one in there or if I cut it in half or something. Sometimes those bigger Mylar bits don't want to cooperate and lay flat like you need them to. And we have stuff trying to escape again. Okay, moving on to the next one. I did speed this up. It might not look like it, but it has been sped up. One thing I was having is my brush was getting gunked up with so much stuff. Scoop them right back in over there where they go. And some little flowers in there. Some of the Mylar bits or seashell ones. I'm not sure what I got on there at the moment. Okay, and this is the pinky, so we're on the last one. Oh, that, I don't know where that one came from. That was just in with the Mylar pieces. It's a squiggly looking, it was a kind of a cool looking little glitter thing though. seashell bits. Needless to say, you can see the mess I had all over my desk when I was done with this part. Okay, now I'm just going to try to mash things down and make sure that they're not sticking up any more than they need to. Okay, and here's where we are so far. Those are going to go in for full cure. There they go. Okay, now I'm going over these with a hefty layer of base coat again. Now right here, if you work with acrylic, this is where you're going to encapsulate the whole nail in a clear acrylic. I don't do acrylic anymore. I have had enough of it. I switched over to gel and I'm so much happier. It's so much easier for me to work with. I mean, I could do acrylic well enough to do my own nails, but it was a very long process for me. I would spend hours filing them, even though I tried to be, keep them smooth and nice. It just wasn't having it. So anyways, that was why I switched over to polygel, and I will not go back. Okay, those are ready for a cure. Actually, I'm going to hold these upside down since I put such a heavy layer on for like maybe 10-15 seconds. They'll go into cure. Now they're back out. Now I'm going to go over them with a hefty layer of my tempered top coat, which is a hard gel top coat. We're going to get a nice hefty layer on here, which you can almost see me doing. I'm trying to concentrate it where all the junk is that I put on there so it can get in the little crevices and fill everything in. Now I could have gone over this with builder gel, but I hate working with that stuff. It's such a pain. It's so sticky and messy. I end up with it everywhere every time I use it. So this method works for me most of the time, so this is the way I do it. Okay, I'm just giving them a little bit down the center, and I'm going to hold these upside down for about the same time before I put them into cure. Now they're back, and we're going to give them another top coat with the top coat, another layer is what I'm trying to say. Okay, this is it's not as hefty a layer as what I just did, but it's a decent layer. We want this to be as encapsulated as possible so I don't file much of it off. Now it doesn't matter that much if you're going to file off any of the little Mylar bits or the seashell bits or anything like that. The only thing I'm concerned about are these bigger flowers, because if you're filing off part of those, that's going to be noticeable. The rest of it doesn't matter. Okay, and we'll do this again with the holding, and then they'll be going into cure. Okay, now we are ready for the file and buff portion of the program. My least favorite. Now you can see there's not that much of this one sticking up. So I will start with my hard file, and I get my side edges back to the right shape if they've got any, overage on the sides that has run down there. That's where it likes to bulk up, is the side edges. Okay, and then anything sticking up, there's a couple little things sticking up I could feel. Then I will go over the whole thing with my buffer. Now I did have a bit of an issue with these. This is the only one I'm going to show, I think, if I remember correctly. I ended up somehow cutting my glove and ripping it during the sanding process. So I ended up taking off the glove. I tried to keep going with it, but it was just flapping around. It was being a pain in the butt. So I ended up taking my gloves off. And you'll see what happens because of that. Once again, I will injure myself with a hand file. I just don't know how this always seems to happen to me. Never once have I hurt myself with the E-file, which, goes crazy, and you could easily hurt yourself with that. Never once have I done it. The hand file, forget it. I am dangerous with that thing. Every time I do my own nails, I manage to mutilate my cuticles with it, even though I try to be very careful. Somehow I still do them. This is another prime reason why I don't want to have to work on any live people, because the way I trash my own cuticles, I think nobody's going to want that. Okay, I've got this down to smooth now. Don't worry about that one little blemish that was on the top part. See, it's fairly smooth. There's a little bit of a lumpy bit right there. And I'm going to try to take some more of that off. And then we will buff it up again. Okay, and don't worry about that blemishy stuff on the top part of that pink part. We're going to cover that in a while here. Okay. And now I'm going to give these a wipe down with alcohol on a lint-free wipe to get all the dust off of them. I've done all the rest of the file and buffing off camera. See, look at that. I took a whole chunk out of my finger during the filing process. I don't know how I manage these things, guys, but here we are. Okay, there's where we were so far. Now I am going to go in with this glitter gel. It is a pink, kind of a maybe, I don't want to call it rose pink. It's not rose gold, it's pink for sure, but it's kind of almost a, sort of a coppery pink maybe. Now I started off with these little skinny lines, and I quickly realized I don't want them to be like that. I want some parts to be fat, some parts to be thin. I want them to be real irregular looking. I don't want them to be nice and super neat. So I really didn't need my striper brush for this. I could have used the detailer brush since I don't need super skinny lines. But this is just what I happened to grab. Okay, and then I'm just going to do this on all of these edges of the where the negative space part is. Okay, I'm not sure what I'm doing here. Oh, I was going to try to get that off. It's just not coming off right there. It's stuff that has gotten cured onto there. I could not get it off, so that's part of the reason that prompted the addition of the flowers that are going to go on here. I mean, I could have filed that down a little, buffed it off probably, but who has time for that? This kind of sort of was giving me a geode kind of a vibe. For some reason, I don't know why. Okie dokes. Now, at some point I thought I sped this part up. Maybe I didn't. But we're just going to do this on all of them. Don't really need to be careful with it. Just get it on there. Since we're not going for neatness on this one. I'm being way more delicate with this than it really needed to be. I guess I didn't speed this part up. That one got really fat right there. Sometimes when I'm watching these as I'm doing my voiceover, I'm sitting there wondering, why are you doing it like that? What were you doing? Now I've got a huge blob of that on there that I need some of it to be off. Okay, and that just leaves us with the pinky. Once I get this one on here, we will be curing these. And then we will be ready for the top coat. And now that I'm sitting here looking at this too, I'm thinking instead of that, I could have put on my lines, my irregular lines with top coat, and then I could have chromed them with a brighter pink. That actually might have looked better. Anyway, there's where we are. Those are going into cure, and here we are back. Now we're going to go in with our top coat, and I am using the Temper top coat again. Just a regular, not a thick coat, just a regular coat that you're going to put on to finish. Even though we're not fully done yet. Originally, my original design called for this to be it, and then I was going to be done. As I was sitting there looking at them, I was thinking they needed something else. And you know me, I have to embellish everything. So I ended up throwing some embellishments on there, which we're going to get to after these cure. I'm going in with this top coat. I toyed with the idea of leaving a matte because I kind of like how that pink looks matted, but then I didn't. So once we cure these, now they're back out, we're going to use some of these pink flowers and the pearls. Okay, these came from Allie. I've had them for a couple of years now, I think. Right where that thing was I couldn't clean off, that's where we're going to put a big flower. Well, a medium-sized flower, but... Okay, and that's how we deal with the blemishes on there that I couldn't clean off. We just cover them up with something. You know, these little tiny ones were being a real pain in the neck this day. They just did not want to get themselves right side up. We're not going to put on a whole ton of these. We're just going to put a few here, a few there. Just to give it a little bit more something something. I had toyed with the idea of putting the little roses on here, but I thought these little pink daisy flowers kind of go better. And now we're going to, now mind I haven't cured these yet. I like to do them all in one go. Unless I'm putting a really huge thing on there that is going to be like the centerpiece, then I'll put that one on, cure it, and then work around it. But these are fine to just do all in once. Now there were bigger caviar beads and smaller ones, so obviously the bigger ones go in the big flower. The littler ones go in the littler ones. Although these little flowers actually could use even smaller ones than these. And then I'm going to throw in some of these pearls in just kind of random spots, just to kind of finish them off, give them a little more interest. This, FYI, is the thumbnail, so that's why I did a little bit more on this one, because there's more area. I had that on there, and then I don't know if did I leave it or take it back out. I guess I left it. Oh, sorry for my arm. I thought I edited all those out. Okay, we're just going to put a little couple down here on the bottom part. Now you don't want to cover up your glitter part that we just did, but we also want just a little bit of oomph down here too. I do like how the caviar beads just lay so nicely in these flowers. I don't know whoever came up with the design for these flowers, but I really like them. As you guys know, I use them a lot. I have the mold for these so I can make them any color I want, which I occasionally do. Okay, that's all we're going to put on there. This one's just going to have a couple on here. Just right here on this curvy bit. We're just going to put a couple of little ones and a pearl. I believe I did speed the rest of these up now, so it will go faster. You don't have to totally sit through all of it. Okay, we want just a little bit on that one. That's all I'm going to put on there. Moving on. This one, we're going to put just a little bit on this bottom. And get our centers in there. And one little pearl. Okay, maybe another one. Dab of glue. Little dab will do ya. Most of you guys are too young to know what that is from, but for the rest of you guys that might be my age or close to that, you'll know. If you know, you know. And I'm just going to add on, I think, one more pearl there. Okay, that's it. Moving on. Now, we're not going to have to do any more top coating over this, because for once I was actually able to keep my glue in the area that it's supposed to be in and covered up with the flowers and stuff, so I don't have a bunch of extra gluey mess to have to cover up to clean it up. Surprising. I know, it surprised me too. I almost always have a gluey mess to have to clean up. Oh, there's my arm again. That guy did not want to stay on either. We need more glue under there, clearly. Nope, that one too. Okay, you get back on. All right, now we're back in business. I don't know why they always have to fight with me. You guys are going to submit in the end because I'm stubborn like that, so you may as well just give in now. Frankly, I ended up using a lot more of these pearls than I had intended to. And they're not flat backs either. They're just round little pearls. So the flat back ones are so much easier to work with for obvious reasons. Almost done, guys. Believe it or not, this is sped up. It doesn't look like it, but I know it is. Okay, not too much on this one, as this is the pinky nail. She says as she's piling more stuff on there. Okay, and here we are. Those are going in for their final cure. And we will not need to do any more top coat over them. And there they are, all done. If you like them, please give me a like. It helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate it. And if you want to see more, I upload a new tutorial every Saturday. So I don't know what I'm doing next time, but we'll see. And that's it for this week. Have a good week, guys. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.